Hey everyone, this is PM Sport Talk, the father and son duo podcast. I'm your host Preston, alongside of my father Mike and Dad. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Had a great New Year. End of the football season. The playoffs are here. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's go into college football. We had a lot of shockers, a lot of just, let's just say, interesting football taking place. Let's start off here with probably the most boring game of the weekend, Penn State versus Boise State. And if you watched enough college football, you would know that this went the way that it should have. Penn State dominates Boise State, and they knew to stack the box against the run. 8 guys were in the box most of the plays against Ashton Genty, and when you force Boise State to throw, it's a problem.
Yeah, I think the game was a little closer than the score says, but at no point did I ever think that Boise State had a chance to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
They were competitive for the most part, but you knew that they weren't good enough to win. And like I said, Genty, he ended up with over 100 yards, but I think if you look at his yards per carry, it was pretty low. They held him in check pretty well. I think some of those yards came, in trash time or whatever, but garbage time. So Penn State, definitely a tier above Boise State, which we all pretty well thought. So that game, no surprise in that game whatsoever. We knew Penn State was better, and they pulled away there in the fourth quarter.
Let me tell you something. If you did not know about this man, you do now. These playoffs, I don't know where Penn State finds these defensive players coming off the edge, but Abdul Carter is reminding me a lot of Micah Parsons. He is really good, and he makes a difference in these football games. And I'm telling you, if Penn State makes the national championship game, he is their key player. That offense is good. With the running game, I will say, is probably the best part of their offense. But let me tell you, Abdul Carter, watch out for him in the Notre Dame game because he is an absolute demon around the edge.
Yeah, he is. And the only thing I don't know is he got hurt in that game. So I haven't heard anything about him, so I'm assuming he's good to go. But if you notice late in that game, he wasn't in there. So I'm assuming he got a little dinged up. And
well, I mean, if you look at that Penn State probably already had it won if it was late, so you don't want to play him.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. But like I said, I haven't heard a word about it, so I'm assuming he's playing. So yeah, he's the next great linebacker there. They have another good one there, which he's had a couple dirty plays in that game.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Number 33.
We were watching that game. I'm not sure what his name is.
Dixon, I think, is his last name.
We'll get his name up here in a second. 33 on Penn State. But, yeah, man, I did not like that at all. He was playing absolute dirty football. I mean, a lot of people are using that hit on Genty and saying this is old school, this is great football. No, that's just being dirty. Genty wasn't even looking, and he absolutely blindsided him. I'm not no man to wish on injury, but karma came his way when he ended up getting injured himself. But it's pretty clear that he was going out there headhunting, doing whatever, playing dirty football.
Yeah, I don't think it's Johnny Dixon, but it's I should know his name. He's pretty good too. But he had some dirty plays in that game, which was totally uncalled for. Yeah, and which is unusual because I don't remember seeing them play like that before. But yeah, I guess young guys get carried away. I don't know if he's a dirty player or not, but he definitely had some dirty shots in that game. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's a dirty player. I haven't really seen him play. I heard he's pretty good, but the man we are looking for is Dennis Sutton.
Sutton. Oh, I'm sorry. I had our producer Chad looking at the totally wrong guy, but I knew it was. I don't know why I had Dixon in my name, but I get these names mixed up. But yeah, Sutton. Yeah.
So let's take a look since we already went over Penn State very quickly. Notre Dame and Georgia. That game was held in New Orleans, where those tragic events. Before we get into that game, just want to send our prayers, condolences out to the New Orleans community after that terrible attack. But this game was supposed to be held on Wednesday when the Buckeyes were playing and Arizona State and Texas were playing. But nonetheless, they pushed it to Thursday for safety reasons. And let me tell you, Notre Dame, they find ways to win. Look at that, Riley Leonard. He didn't even throw for 100 yards.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
And but he did rush for 80.
Yeah, Georgia just didn't look like they didn't look like the Georgia I used to seeing on defense. I don't know. I don't want to say that what happened the day before had anything to do with it, but who knows how it affected anybody. Those guys, I mean, they're all set to play a game there on Wednesday, and that tragedy happened, so their game gets moved to Thursday, and who knows how that.
It does change a lot, but
who knows how that affected the game.
At the end of the day, we're not saying it is the right call to move that game, but
definitely.
just it does play a factor, for sure. It's a terrible event. But let's see here. Georgia, did you happen to catch when Arian Smith caught a huge play, and I'm not sure, I don't think I've ever heard of him because he's never taken a snap in college football, but that player on Georgia's sideline runs into the official and cost them that big play.
Yeah, that's a huge play, huh?
And ESPN showed the replay on that. Kirby Smart was, let's just say, not happy about that. Immediately going over the sideline and telling him to back up. We'll just say that.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Well, we've seen it twice. What was the other one? Was that the NFL or was it college? It just happened where a referee got run over. There was a lady official. I can't remember where, but I've seen it twice in the last week or so, where I've never seen it before, where the official gets run over by players that are on the bench.
Yeah.
What are you doing that you're running over an official?
It's not intentional. They're excited.
I know they're excited, but you got to...
Yeah, I'm sure Kirby definitely had a talk with him in his office after that game. But
I can imagine if he's still there. He looked like he might be a kicker or a punter or something. I don't know, but didn't he look small to you? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because he didn't have any pads on or anything. But anyway, I'm sure he feels terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, such a big play, and that game was. Who knows what happens if? I mean, I'm not saying Georgia would have won. But
I'll tell you, for being put in a tough situation, Gunnar Stockton played a very good football game. He didn't turn the ball over once. I mean, he was very efficient, I'll say, but you can't do much when you are getting pressured by that great Notre Dame defense. So that's what they're known for.
Either Notre Dame is better than what I thought, or Georgia. Georgia's not as good. I'm not sure which it is. We're gonna find out. Yeah, there's that play.
Yeah, you can't see it on that angle, but they show a very good replay of how this happens. We'll take a look at it right here. Look at all the dogs going crazy. That's a 0-0. This is the start of the ball game. Look at Arian Smith. That's a great move. He got past a great defensive player. That puts them in, Notre Dame territory deep. That's going to give them their first touchdown of the game.
Here it is, right?
Here it is. Wait for it. The official gets knocked over by 39 Parker Jones.
Yeah, he gets knocked out, pushed out into the field. Yeah, great play. I'm going to guess they're going to score a touchdown there. Where were they? Inside the 10?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did they even score? I guess they got a field goal out of it, right?
Yeah, they had to settle for 3.
So they got a field goal out of it. But there's a big difference between scoring 7 points right there and 3. And who knows how that game goes.
That's a tone setter right there. It's 0-0.
That's putting it right on there. It's like, okay, Notre Dame, we got you at 7. We're up 7. Let's see what you got. And, that it's unfortunate. But, the rest of the game, Notre Dame was the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line pretty much took over the game. And they have, a couple good backs. They were missing one there. Did he get hurt in this game or before this game, Love?
He got hurt in the middle of it.
So they had to go to their backup, who is, I wouldn't necessarily call him a backup. He's very good, too.
Mm-hmm. He was playing good. He was getting efficient runs. I forget his name, but
they have 1-2 punch there, and so that sets up a really good game with Penn State. We have 2 very good offensive and defensive teams.
Do we know the status on Love? Is he going to play this game?
That I don't know. I haven't. That's just fun. I have been paying so much attention to the pro game, but I've been looking and I have not seen anything on it. So I'm assuming he's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said he's going to play. So
Jeremiah before Love, we should help you. Yeah. So that is a huge difference if Love doesn't play, because you're gonna have to prepare the backup to take starting reps. I mean, they might have him do that anyway. I don't know how bad the injury was. I don't think Love played another snap that game, so we'll have to see. Time will tell. We'll just say that. So we have Penn State and Notre Dame lined up for next week. We'll get into that in a second, but let's go to what set up our other semifinal matchup. We will start off with Arizona State and Texas. So, Arizona State, like we'll say third quarter, halftime, maybe a little bit after, Texas went up 24-8, and we thought this game was over. Me and you are sitting on the couch saying, oh man, they are taking care of business right now. Cam Scatabo, ladies and gentlemen, he willed, he fought, and he got them back in that game. He tied the game. Arizona State and Texas were tied, and got him into overtime, and that was, I'll tell you, an instant classic.
It didn't start out that way. It was kind of a ho-hum game. The first, I'd say, 2.5 quarters. I think then Arizona State comes up with a comeback.
Hey, Sam Levitt didn't even throw a touchdown pass. It was Cam Scatabo playing quarterback and giving him a touchdown.
Yeah, he was doing everything, and he was gassed.
He was catching, he was running, he was throwing. I mean, what else can this guy do?
He was getting sick on the field. He was just, I don't know if he was sick or if he was just so dehydrated and just worked so hard to get back in that game.
I'll tell you.
But, man.
NFL scouts are looking at him right now.
Oh, yeah, he's making an NFL team. He'll be a third or fourth rounder or something, and you'll see him playing on Sundays. He's tough. Takes 4 or 5 guys to get him down. He's faster than you think because he had that reception on the sideline there. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he could move that fast. So, he's deceiving. He's one of those guys that's all heart, never gives up, gives you 150% every time, and just goes. And he almost willed that team to a win.
So there was a play before overtime that I want to go back to. It was Arizona State. They had possession of the football. That one Texas player makes a big hit on their receiver, and he was knocked out like he was laying cold in the middle of the field. They call it targeting on the field. They look at it. They don't call it targeting. So that is some big controversy that, changed the whole game. But I want to know your thoughts on that and what else, the people watching think about that call. We'll look at it first here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this play.
So Levitt is a 3rd and 15 here, so they got to get this. And, yep, there it is. You'll see that in live action, hard to tell, but we'll see some replays here. You see number 5 there just laid out cold. I think he went into shock right there. And when we get the replays, it sure does make a good case for targeting. The completed pass and coming in like a lightning bolt, and right there it does look like helmet-to-helmet contact.
Yeah, there's definitely helmet-to-helmet.
You got to leave with the crown, though. Remember that. And that is a big case.
That's a really close call. The I said at the time that I didn't think it was targeting because you lead with the crown on your head, and he didn't duck his head. He went in there, wrapped up.
Yeah.
There was helmet-to-helmet contact, but it wasn't intentional. So it is a controversy. I get it. To me, it's not targeting, but I can see why people would say it is. I know you thought it was targeting.
In live action, I thought it was. I was rooting heavily for Arizona State, so.
See, that's the problem with that targeting rule. It's either they either call it targeting or they don't call it at all. Instead of calling it targeting, why don't you call it a defenseless receiver like they do in the NFL? Mm-hmm. So if they review that and they say there's no targeting, then there's no penalty at all on that.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the NFL, you can call a hit on a defenseless receiver, 15-yard penalty, blah, blah, blah. That's the problem with that rule there.
They still have the ejection in play, the NFL. Sometimes if the hit is vicious enough, they do throw that player out of the game.
See, that in college, it's all or nothing. It's either targeting and he's thrown out, or it's nothing. So in that case, I don't think it was targeting, but I do think it might have been a defenseless receiver. So it should have been a 15-yard penalty, and the defensive back still gets to play.
Right.
So they need to change. They need to do something with that rule so that it's not all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why the refs didn't call it target, or changed it, because they didn't think it was.
Because there can be helmet to helmet, and they don't get penalized for it at all.
And they didn't want to throw the guy out because they didn't think it was. He didn't leave with the crown of his head, like you said. It wasn't that.
They need to add like a add-on or get rid of targeting or something.
They need to change that because that should have been a penalty, but it should not have been an ejection. And the way the rule is, it's either all or nothing, and that's the problem with it. And then it leads to this discussion. Whereas if it would have been just a 15-yard penalty and he gets to keep playing, nobody would have said a word, right? So
people watching this, leave it down in the comments. Do you think that was targeting, or do you think that was clean, or not clean, but do you think it was targeting or no targeting is the question. We'll leave that up to you guys. One more thing from this game. I'm pretty sure the head coach of Texas, Steve Sarkisian, he is never giving a kicker a pep talk ever again.
Yeah.
Right before they kick. And you never do that. I mean, Nick Saban himself said, I would never do that. I would never do that. That completely throws him off.
When I saw him going out there and putting his hands on his shoulders after he missed that one kick, and it's time to make the next one, I'm like, what is he doing? He's putting so much pressure on that kid, and sure enough, I mean, you can't.
Right off the upright.
You don't talk to kickers. Leave them alone.
They don't want to be talked to. They want to just go out there and handle business.
All you're doing is adding pressure on that kid, and now he's thinking about it even more than he already was, and you saw the result. And hopefully, like you said, hopefully he learned his lesson on that, and he got lucky. Quinn Ewers bailed him out on that 4th and 13.
Yeah. Didn't like the all blitz call there on that 4th down. Definitely should have been a deep safety, but can't change the outcome. Texas wins, and they punch their ticket to the next round. And now we go to the shocking game of the week. Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And Ohio State, at halftime in this game, was up 34-8. 34-8. It was 34-0 until like 30 seconds left.
Yeah, this is the shocker. This is the one game that we thought would be close, and it was the biggest blowout of them all. The game was over at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
They just totally dominated Oregon, and I did not see that coming at all. Just absolutely blitzed them. They didn't know what to do. They could not stop that offense. It's like Will Howard, and it's like he's turned into, Joe Montana or something. It's unreal how the middle of the season you looked at him and you're like, man, this guy is just an average quarterback,
right.
You know? And the last 2 games that he's played, he's been phenomenal. And they got the best receiver in football. He'd be, if he was eligible to be drafted, he'd probably be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft.
Will
No,
Smith?
Smith, the receiver.
He is ready. He is ready for the NFL already. I mean, you can forget about eligibility with him. I'm obviously not, but you can forget about eligibility with him because he is ready.
Yeah, he looks like a man amongst boys out there, and he's just a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was that was a very disappointing game for me because I wanted to watch a thrilling back and forth game, and it was over early.
You saw Jeremiah Smith score the early touchdown. You're like, it's early. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a thrilling game. It was the exact opposite. Absolute blowout.
Yeah, Oregon could do nothing on offense.
It's not even like they turned the ball over. They made mistakes.
No, they didn't.
They just couldn't move the ball.
They couldn't move the ball. It was just three and out. And
Dylan Gabriel didn't turn the ball over all game long.
No, and I mean, they made a little bit of a comeback, but
it was too late.
But they were down by too much at that time, and yeah, it was just over. So yeah, it was disappointing. Whether I didn't really care who won, but it was just disappointing because I thought that was going to be the game of the day, and it was anything but. So
I think it's good to agree that Texas-Arizona State was our game of the week for college.
It was the only one that was close.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good game as well. So with that being said, we have our matchups, and before we move on to the next topic, we will make our national championship predictions. So, Dad, I'll let you start us off.
Well, I've got the Penn State Notre Dame game is such a tough one. I can't pick Notre Dame because I just don't like Notre Dame. So I'm going to go Penn State. I probably should pick Notre Dame, but it is very close. Very similar teams, the way they play. So I'll go Penn State in a very close defensive game. You know, it's going to be probably like the Georgia game with Notre Dame, low scoring like that. I'm going to go Penn State 23-20. And I'm going to go I'm going Texas over Ohio State. I think the magic comes to an end. Another close game, a little more high scoring, I think. Not a lot because they're both good defenses. I'll say 28-27 Texas, and then I've got Texas beating Penn State in the national championship game.
All right, so you think Texas, Penn State.
I do.
I am the exact opposite, brother. Notre Dame is beating Penn State. I'm not saying that for sure. It's a 50-50. These two teams, like you said, they are so similar. They love to run the ball. They're defensive-minded. But at the end of the day, sometimes it comes down to who can make the throws. And I'd rather have Riley Leonard than Drew Aller all day. So give me Notre Dame. We'll say 24-20. And for Ohio State and Texas, I'm obviously picking Ohio State. This is going to be a little bit more high scoring than the Notre Dame game, I think. So we'll make that 31-27. And with the national championship game, Notre Dame and Ohio State, I have Ohio State in a blowout. Ohio State is would win that game, let's say 34-17.
Yeah. I could see that. Absolutely.
I think if Ohio State can make it against Notre Dame or Penn State, the game's not going to be close. So there's our takes on our national championship predictions. And with that being said, we are in the 9th inning for the NFL. The playoffs are here. And this was such an entertaining NFL season. A lot of great moments. So, Dad, I want to just go over these playoffs real quick. And, yeah, these are some pretty good playoffs shaping up to be.
Yeah, your first game is going to be the Chargers and the
Texans.
That first game Saturday seems like it's always an AFC South. It's pretty much the Texans' spot.
Yeah.
4:30 on Saturday to start the playoffs. AFC South game against the Chargers. I really love how the Chargers are playing. I got the Chargers winning this one. I don't even think it's going to be that close. I got the Chargers winning that game. Like I'm gonna say like 24-14, something like that. Herbert is playing like he did a couple years ago. Finally, he has a good coach again. They got some weapons, young guys, running the ball good. The defense is good. Houston, they've been in disarray for a while now. They're a little bit like Pittsburgh. They're kind of like just, can't seem to get it together. I know they won yesterday, but, that was against the Titans, and that game meant nothing. And I know they're at home, but I just like the Chargers in that game.
So in that game, Chargers-Texans, I'm taking the Chargers. I'm with you. I don't think this is a close game at all. Give me the Chargers, we'll say. I say they put up a lot of points. Or, scratch that. Texans' defense is pretty good. We'll say, give me Chargers get 23. Texans will get 10.
Yeah. Now watch and see the Texans blow out the Chargers just because we said all that.
We'd look dumb.
So that's the one thing about the playoffs. Sometimes that does happen. You got these teams that are just like flailing, and you think they're just limping into the playoffs, and all of a sudden they have this great game in the playoffs. But I think smart money is on the Chargers.
We're going to flip over to the NFC. For the first game in the NFC, I want to look at the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll go first. This one, Jaden Daniels' first playoff game against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, who have been in this spot before. And I'm taking the rookie. Jaden Daniels is going to lead Washington to their first playoff win in however long against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this one is going to be high scoring. And I'll give Washington the advantage. We'll say 31 to, it's going to be a close one. We'll do 26.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of defense in this game. Neither team is very good on defense. They're just average defensively. I want to go Washington too. I think, but there's something about Tampa. I don't know. They seem to play good in the playoffs.
I was thinking that, yeah.
It's a tough one for me. I'm going to pick Tampa in a very close game, but I do think it'll be high scoring, up in the upper 20s probably.
So I'm going to stay in the NFC here. We'll go to the game below that on the grid. Packers and Eagles. Who do you got?
If Jalen Hurts is healthy, and he's still in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
If he is healthy and ready to go, I don't think this is close. But if he's not, if he doesn't get cleared till, close to the playoff, close to the game, I just don't know what kind of effect that's going to have on him. He hasn't played football in how long?
Weeks.
Couple weeks, 3 weeks. By the time that game happens, 3 weeks probably. So this game might be closer than you think, but I do think the Eagles have enough defense. It's in Philadelphia. If Jalen Hurts plays and is healthy, Philadelphia wins it comfortably by a couple touchdowns. If they have to go to a backup, I still think they win, but I think it's close.
We're sleeping on the Packers over here.
I'm just not big on the Packers. I don't know.
So I'm going to tell you this. If Jalen Hurts, even if he is cleared tonight, even if he's cleared tomorrow morning, I'm taking Green Bay. He hasn't played in almost a month.
Yeah.
You can't have that going into a playoff game. I think that affects Philly tremendously. And even if Jalen Hurts was healthy, I still might take the Packers. I love their team. They were really good last year, I'll tell you that, in the playoffs. They almost took down San Fran, and they went to the Super Bowl. So take that as you will. Jordan Love gets his gets a playoff win against Philly, his second ever. And give me the Packers. We'll say 23 to 21. It's going to be close, and Eagles have a very good defense.
Yeah, so we'll see. I like Philly, but we'll see.
So we'll go back to the AFC, Denver and Buffalo.
Yeah, this is a tough one. obviously, Bills are favored by like 9 points, I think. Denver's been playing really, really good. I don't know how much stock you take out of yesterday's game because that was a Chiefs team that didn't care.
Right.
Had all their backups in. Carson Wentz is brutal. But they have looked really good. But I just don't see them going into Denver with a rookie quarterback, or into Buffalo with a rookie quarterback and beating Josh Allen and the Bills there. That's a hard place to play in the playoffs. It's going to be cold. Who knows if it's going to be snowing or not, but it's going to be cold. And I just think too much Josh Allen there. Denver defense is good. Bills defense is so-so, but it might be close, but there's no way Denver beats them. So I got Buffalo in a close game. I'll say, like 24-21, 27-21, something like that.
I'm going to tell you this. There is a way Denver wins this game. It's Buffalo. They have the advantage. They have, with the atmosphere in Buffalo, it's a great place to play. I've been to a couple of games myself. It's loud, and who knows how much louder it is during playoff time. But this is Denver. The Broncos are used to the cold. This isn't like Miami going into Buffalo with Tua Tagovailoa trotting around in the cold. This is a team that has played in the cold for the last month or two. So I'm going to say Denver pulls off a huge upset over the MVP favorite Josh Allen. Give me the Broncos 27-23.
That's a bold statement there. Hey, stranger things have happened. I just don't see it with a rookie quarterback, though. But hey, I'd love to see it. I'm not, we're not Bills fans. We live in Bills country, but we're not Bills fans. But I just don't see it. I think Josh Allen's just too much.
And we will go to the second to last wild card game to cover: Vikings and Rams.
This is a hard one.
This is tough.
Because I don't know what Minnesota team you're going to get. I think I know the Rams. I think you're going to get the Rams team that we've seen. They're going to be decent. You got a smart, savvy, veteran quarterback who knows how to play. It's inside, no cold weather. Mm-hmm. Their defense is, pretty good. They've got playmakers: Nakua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. Minnesota, after watching them get beat by Detroit last night, Sam Darnold looked like the old Sam Darnold. Now, a lot of that was that defense because they were on him fast. So it wasn't all him. But the Rams have a pretty good pass rush, and the pressure is going to be on Darnold in the playoffs. He's got to prove that he's not the old Sam Darnold. That Minnesota defense is good, but it's not great. I think the Rams get him. I think this is a close one. Sean McVay is an excellent head coach. I think this is a Rams win. Like, I got the Rams, I'm going to say 27-24.
I'm right with you. I am taking the Los Angeles Rams in this game over the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not confident in taking the Vikings. Sam Darnold sees a good defense, and he absolutely crumbled. He looked uncomfortable in that pocket. When he had to roll out, it was absolutely nothing. No results, no productivity. So I'm taking the Rams. And honestly, if Jared Verse in that pass rush brings the rush, like they can get to Darnold, I think this one is a Rams win 24-13.
Wow. You don't even think it's going to be that close.
Not if the Rams defense plays good. They have an excellent defensive rookie in Verse out of Florida State. He is probably my pick of defensive rookie of the year. So I think him in the pass rush gets to Darnold and makes him uncomfortable again. And that is the end of the Vikings' great season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They showed last night it was Jared Verse on one side and Fisk on the other side, who was also out of Florida State. They're teammates from
That's right.
And bookends there, playing excellent football. Yeah, and Chris Collinsworth made a very good point last night. I know we always make fun of Chris, but he said, whenever Sam Darnold gets rushed, he has a tendency to throw the ball high. He overthrows receivers high, and he was doing that all night last night. And if the Rams can do that, that's going to pick up right where Detroit left off. He's going to be thinking like that. He's going to be rushed. He's going to be throwing the ball quicker than he wants to, and it's going to be the old Sam Darnold, I think.
So our last wild card game, we purposely saved this game for last. It will be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, you know who we're going to pick, but we're not overly confident in that pick. The Steelers have played horrible football. The last 4 games have gotten beat soundly. They had a chance to win on Saturday against the Bengals, but that was their defense bailed them out. It's mainly their offense. Their defense played bad against Kansas City, but for the most part, it's been their offense, and I think their defense will play good enough to keep them in this game. But if their offense doesn't play any better, they're not going to beat Baltimore. I gotta hope that with all the bulletin board material that Baltimore and everybody's given them, they're the underdogs, huge underdogs in this rivalry. And quite often when there's a huge underdog, throw the records out. That game is just a bloodbath. And knock 'em, sock 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em, however you want to say it. And that game comes right down to the end. And I will not be shocked if that happens again. So I'm going with my heart here. I'm going with Steelers. I think Russ gets some deep balls. Pickens, I think, is going to break out of his slump there. And he's going to catch a couple deep balls. I got the Steelers winning this one. I'm going to go 20-16.
I like it. So I don't know if this will be relevant pointing out, but when me and my dad were waiting to go in our studios before recording this podcast, the Ravens decided it would be a good idea to release a TikTok. It was one of their media team ideas, a skit. They thought it was going to be harmless, probably. Lamar Jackson's cologne. The Ravens team was smelling Lamar's cologne, and so they had a player, I don't remember who it was, but he smelled the cologne, and he said those 3 words before he could get the thought, "It smells like," and players in the background, unknown, it's just background noise, they finished the sentence for him and said, "George Pickens, soft. Yeah, smells just like that." So I don't know if the Ravens are just getting ahead of themselves, they're getting confident, but I'm going to tell you this right now. The Steelers were in this situation before, and we've seen that they can get out of it. They can find ways to make positive stuff happen out of adversity. Look at last year. The Steelers benched Kenny Pickett, or he got hurt with a concussion. Mitch Trubisky they went to for 1 or 2 games against Indianapolis. He played absolutely horrible. That no one knew if the Steelers were going to make it. They thought they were done. They put in Mason Rudolph at the end of the year. He gives them that change of spark, and he turns that season around. Although they didn't get the result they wanted in the wild card against Buffalo, they did make the playoffs. That was the goal. They made the playoffs. So I'm not saying this is the same situation, but I'm saying we can see the Steelers overcome adversity. They are coming off 4 straight losses. They have a rivalry game on the road, and the Ravens are giving them extra motivation with that video. I think the Steelers can take that to heart and tell them, hey, we got to show these guys that we're just not someone they can step on in an easy road to the divisional round. Give me the Steelers 23-17.
I like it. One thing I will say, if Russell Wilson is struggling in this game, he's got to make a change.
Tomlin?
He's got to.
You cannot be patient.
Go down without making a change.
You can't. You need to give Fields a shot. If Russ is not off the bat good with your preparation, you put in Justin Fields and see if you can get that change of spark. This offense needs something to succeed if you're going to win this playoff game. This is a great Ravens defense. And when you add corners like Nate Wiggins and they have Marlon Humphrey on the other side, when you're already short at receiver, you have George Pickens and not many other options. Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson, who are good, but they aren't go-to options around the league. So if the Tomlin needs to swallow his pride, if Russell Wilson's turning the ball over, playing bad, not hitting his passes, you need to make the change. You need to go down, if you're going to go down, trying. And if you don't take out Russ when he's struggling, then it's not successful. It's just like you gave up.
Yeah, you can't wait. You can't. Hey, if the offense is not moving at all and they're not doing anything, you have to make a change. You have no choice. If you don't, then there's something wrong, because I'm not saying that Justin Fields is better than Russell Wilson. I don't know, but he's younger, he's more mobile, and like you said, he can give a spark. We've seen it many other times with other teams. When a guy's struggling and you got a quarterback like Justin Fields that can move and do other things than just sit back there and throw and be a sitting duck back there, you got to make a change. Because if Russell Wilson is not hitting that deep ball to Pickens, then they got to make a change, because they got to change it up, because that's not going to work. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't have. Hopefully Russ plays like he did, when he first 7 games, and was lighting it up. So, but you can't hesitate. It's the playoffs. You got to do everything you can to win. And even if it's just for a few plays, just to get a spark, do something.
Yeah. We are going to go ahead and go to plays of the week here, but stay tuned to the end after plays of the week, because we will be making our Super Bowl predictions at the end. Our first game coming from Denver. Bo Nix rolling out, looking, thrown to the end zone, tipped up, knocked down, knocked up again, and caught! Touchdown, Vele! Off the ricochet 1-2 times, and he turns it into a touchdown.
What a play. I thought for sure that was going to get intercepted. I can't believe somebody that was out of bounds didn't touch it, but no, it's a good play. And if you're the Cincinnati Bengals watching this, you must be like, oh no, there's no way they're losing.
Yeah. Coming from Detroit, the Lions in Minnesota. Detroit with a touchdown surely seals the NFC North title and the first seed in the NFC. Hand off to Jahmyr Gibbs. He's fighting. He's pushing. He's pushed into the blue. Touchdown Lions. And Jahmyr Gibbs, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns on the night.
What a game. I think he had almost 30 touches in that game. Unbelievable.
They really wanted that one. Coming from Atlanta and Carolina, Penix put in late in the season, looking to make a spark and secure the job as the starter. Penix rolls, diving for the pylon. Is he in? Yes, he is. Touchdown, Falcons.
Looks like the Falcons have their quarterback of the future.
Kirk Cousins wasn't getting it done. They put in Penix, 3 games left in the season, and although they didn't get the result they wanted, boy, do they have a future with this kid.
Absolutely.
This is the Packers punting to the Bears here in Green Bay for our third play of the week. Everyone's following, but Josh Blackwell on the other side of the field has it. He fooled everyone. Blackwell has space, and he should comfortably score a punt return 94-yard touchdown.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Everybody was fooled, including the cameraman. There was nobody they had no idea who had the ball.
Coming from Browns and Ravens, Zappy looking, fires it in, it's intercepted! The 355-pound linebacker, defensive tackle, Michael Pierce drops into coverage and secures his first interception in career history.
That's crazy. First of all, how did he not see him?
Oh my goodness gracious. I want to see if we can get a replay of this. Yep, that right there sums up the Browns now.
Yeah, right here. He just drops back.
Look at this. dropping back. I don't know who he was throwing to, but that was not anywhere near his intended receiver. I think that was David Njoku. Or no, it wasn't, but man, what a unit getting that pick in coverage.
Yeah, he had no intention of running that. He's like, no, I'm just sliding.
Coming from Commanders and Cowboys, Mariota throws it up. Touchdown, Washington. The winner in Dallas.
What a play. How many last-second touchdowns have the Commanders had this year?
Well, Terry McLaurin, you remember that one earlier in the season? He finally has his game winner. Coming from Texans and Titans, Mills hands it off. Pierce breaks through. He's got that blazing, getting away, speed, down the sideline. Pierce, 92 yards for the touchdown.
Wow, what a play. He was their leading rusher last year, and now he's giving it up to Mixon, but
wow. When's the last time we've seen him break a big run like that? People forget how good this guy is when he's given the chance.
Yeah, if I was them, I'd be playing him a lot more.
Well, Dad, that is the end of today's podcast. But we have some things to handle before we sign off officially. First, who was your top performer and biggest disappointer of the week?
Well, my biggest disappointment of the week is none other than Russell Wilson, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played his worst game I've seen him play all year. Absolutely atrocious in that game. So he's my worst performer of the week. And my top performer goes to the Detroit Lions defense. They were phenomenal. Missing starters all over that defense, and they just shut down that Minnesota offense. They're my performers of the week.
Yeah, those are very good picks. I like those picks a lot. We'll go with my disappointment first, and that will be none other than the Oregon Ducks. They did not show up to play. As much as I love that as an Ohio State fan, love rubbing it in their face, I was expecting a better game than that, and the Oregon Ducks just struggled, and it caught up to them, and Ohio State ran away with the easy victory. For my top performance of the week, it's got to go to Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions. 4 touchdowns, and he was the waymaker. He paved his way. He was the leader of the line to get that first seed and clinch it.
Absolutely great pick. Jahmyr Gibbs was phenomenal last night. He was their offense, and he's a phenomenal player. Nothing more needs to be said.
Well, and our final thing, who is your Super Bowl matchup prediction?
I'm going with Detroit out of the NFC against it's either in my mind it's either Buffalo or Kansas City. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Buffalo. Detroit, Buffalo. I got Detroit winning it. Revenge from the earlier game in the year. Detroit winning a high-scoring game.
I like that pick. I am going to go with the Lions out of the NFC. They prove that even though they have a lot of injuries, heart is what their team is made of, and they are showing it right now with how good that banged-up defense played last night. So they are going to be my pick out of the NFC. And out of the AFC, I have to stick with it. The Broncos, I have beaten the Bills. So out of the AFC, it makes it a lot tougher. It's anyone's ball game when I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and say the Los Angeles Chargers.
Hey.
The Chargers versus the Lions, and I got the Lions winning it in a high-scoring game.
Hey, way to go with neither one of us picked Kansas City. That's probably who it'll end up being, but I like your pick, though.
Well, with that being said, this marks the end of today's episode. Once again, I am Preston with my father, Mike. This has been PM Sport Talk. We will see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.